The year was 1981. Spring was beginning to breathe new life into the floral ecosystems of the Northern Hemisphere as the sun's rays shone more brilliantly with each passing day, and with it came the promise of an impending cultural awakening. In a humble recording studio located in Berkeley, California by the name of Fantasy, one hungry rock band transformed their destiny by creating a legendary album that would catapult their career to stratospheric heights, as well as capture the very essence of rock and roll in the process. Welcome back to Geek Theater. This installment is all about how Journey's flagship record, Escape, went diamond. So I've mentioned in a couple of my previous videos that I grew up listening to classic rock, and one of those bands that has consistently earned its place in my all-time top 10 list is Journey. Of course, much like many other uninitiated kids growing up in the 2000s, in the very early years of my rock music explorations, the only associations I could make with the name Journey went roughly along the lines of Journey equals one-hit wonder equals Don't Stop Believin equals L plus ratio. However, the more I saw their name pop up in the unlikeliest of places, being credited for a deceptively large body of popular songs, my curiosity got the better of me, and before I knew it, I was ensconced in a prolific catalog of remarkably captivating music, the majority of which will, unfortunately, remain overlooked, even within the sphere of rock enthusiasts. Unless you share this video with 3 of your friends. Our journey to explain Journey's journey to greatness begins with Journey, their 1975 self-titled debut. This record is the combined effort of Greg Raleigh, the original vocalist, Neil Schon, the guitarist that still plays for the band to this day, Ross Valerie, the inarguably definitive bassist of the band, George Tickner on rhythm guitar, and Ainsley Dunbar on drums. And if I can be honest, this album is not at all indicative of their reputation as the household name AOR hit factory that they would eventually become in the slightest. The unabashedly experimental and, dare I say, progressive elements of the soundscapes crafted in these tracks, while offering value in their own special way, are certainly not what I would call accessible. This trend would continue for their second and third albums, Look Into the Future and Next, respectively, and the band would not reach mainstream notoriety until the release of their fourth album, Infinity, in 1978, which featured the newly joined member of the band that would ultimately prove crucially instrumental in the band's rise to fame. Or should I say vocal? That's right, Infinity was the first time Journey's music was paired with the unmistakably majestic voice of Steve Perry. This critical addition, coupled with the catchy hooks of smash hit tracks like Lights, Feelin' That Way, Anytime, Wheel in the Sky, and Something to Hide, was undoubtedly the extra piece of the ensemble that allowed them to break into the conversation of popular music to begin with. And perhaps most importantly, they were able to capitalize on this success and ascend even higher into stardom with their next 2 albums, Evolution, which was Steve Smith's debut as the new drummer, and Departure, which was their first album to reach the top 10 of the Billboard 200. Some Journey fans actually claim that this trio of albums at the turn of the decade were the peak of their sound, and it's hard to deny this era's excellence when you consider the remarkably synergistic dueling vocals of Greg Raleigh and Steve Perry, as well as the stone-cold classics that came out of these releases, such as Too Late, Lovin' Touchin' Squeezin', Just the Same Way, Walks Like a Lady, Good Morning Girl, Stay a While, and Any Way You Want It, for Christ's sake. However, since you clicked on this video, you can probably guess that the true peak of Journey's sound, in my opinion, was realized with the album that would come next. Journey's 7th studio album, Escape, was released on July 20th, 1981. And for some reason, that makes so much sense. First of all, 1981 was an insane year for rock music, and I might touch on that in a future video, but second of all, okay, I don't know if I can explain this using objective terms, but this record just feels like July. you know? Those of you who live in the top half of the globe like I do will agree that July is prime time for having fun in the sun, and this album perfectly encapsulates those joyful and liberating summertime vibes. I think the newly recruited keyboardist Jonathan Cain greatly contributes to the brightening of Journey's overall instrumental timbre through his bouncy piano figures, and he also contributes to the incredibly memorable melodic sensibilities that take shape in quite literally every song by offering a new flavor of compositional ideas to the group. This five-man lineup really is the dream team of Journey, and every member is firing at all cylinders over the course of the 10 tracks that comprise this project. And I don't say that lightly, by the way. This album is the definition of all killer, no filler. Each and every one of the 10 songs immaculately achieves what it sets out to do artistically. You know, I actually vividly remember listening to this album for the first time. I was 18, springtime was beginning to set in, and I decided to throw on the record in between college classes. I'll give you an abridged reenactment of how that went. I've heard it 1,000 times, and I'll hear it 1,000 more. Hey, I've heard this one before. I've heard it 100 times, and I'll hear it 1,000 more. Oh, this kicks ass! Hey, I've heard this one before. Is this the actualization of human vitality? Oh, this kicks ass! I'm gonna have to go to Spirit Halloween to get a new face because mine was just ripped off. What are all these geese doing on my bumps? Okay, that went by kinda quickly, so I'll replay the footage, but slower this time. What can I say about Don't Stop Believin' that hasn't already been said? It's a Smithsonian-level song that's clearly carved its place into pop culture as an absolutely anthemic power ballad. It's in the same league as your Dream Ons or your Freebirds or your We Are the Champions when it comes to being the soundtrack of any triumphant event of the past 40 years. Your daughter's soccer team just made it to nationals? Don't stop believin'. Your little brother just had his bar mitzvah? Don't stop believin'. You just finished your history test? Actually, I'm going to put on Livin' on a Prayer. In any event, suffice it to say that whenever Jonathan Cain comes in with that all-too-familiar piano figure, the room lights up with a universal recognition of what's about to go down for the next 4 minutes. Also, I would be remiss not to mention the fact that the structure of Don't Stop Believin' is brilliant. The song is basically one giant build-up to the chorus, which doesn't happen until over 3 minutes in, by the way. Their choice to put the guitar solo before the chorus and foreshadow the vocal melody is genius. It makes the heroic entrance of the refrain so much more climactic, and it also contributes to the uniqueness of the song's structure, making it all the more special. The first chorus of this song is also the last one, and the band slowly fades out as they ride off into the sunset. Don't Stop Believin' may very well be one of the most overplayed songs, but it's also one of the best. I don't know about you, but I still haven't gotten tired of hearing it, and I don't think I ever will. Once Journey finally stops not stopping believing, a distant guitar riff harkens from the west. It comes in waves, with each sentence being separated by an anticipatory silence. Steve starts to sing the first verse, reminiscing about the days of his youth, and after a couple of tasteful repetitions, the rhythm section drops in like a hammer as the groove starts in full swing. Despite the simplicity of the chord progression, this riff is incredible. The added ninth on the subdominant chord into the first inversion of the tonic, together with the rhythmic sparsity of the delivery, makes this an excellent motif to follow throughout the song. Also, Ross Valerie is the undisputed MVP of this track. His bass performance is literally flawless at every turn. Similar to Don't Stop Believin', near the end of the song, they just launch into an entirely new section through a guitar solo and slowly fade away. It's a great guitar solo, and it reinforces the album's theme of, well, escaping to wonderful future destinations unknown. I apologize if you're lactose intolerant. That line was irresponsibly cheesy. Ah yes, yet another iconic piano intro by Jonathan Cain. Once again, the chord progression is simple, but the minor 7 voicings and rhythmic accents are so tasteful that you can't help but feel it deep in your bones. The mellow vibe of this track is a perfect change of pace from the large personalities of the previous 2 songs, and the bridge is nothing short of brilliant. The Neapolitan chord at the end is an amazing capstone transition into the last chorus, and Steve Smith's choice not to come in until halfway through the chorus is so smart. Not to mention the fact that the guitar solo that follows is one of the greatest guitar solos of all time. It's thematic, it develops its ideas beautifully, and Neil Schon's performance of it is textbook stuff. truly a showcase of his melodic expertise as a lead guitarist. So at this point in the album, 18-year-old me was like, okay, we're 4 tracks into this thing, and I can finally experience some new Journey material I've never heard before. And spoiler alert, it did not disappoint. Keep On Runnin' is a high-octane, blistering rocker that never lets off the gas for a second. The synchronized upbeat accents in the instrumentals contribute so much to the high energy level of this track, and Steve Perry is slaughtering the chorus with his sustained soaring vocals. Seriously, this chorus is a criminally underrated Steve Perry moment. I would consider it absolutely essential listening for any Journey fan, and it's a shame that this song never quite took off like the other tracks on side 1. The emphatic ending sequence to this song is also extremely satisfying and creative, especially after listening to 3 fade-outs in a row from the previous songs. Overall, Keep On Runnin' is an amazing song that's tragically overlooked in relativity to the rest of the tracks on Escape, and I would strongly implore anyone watching this to check out this grossly underappreciated gem of Journey's catalog. We have arrived at the final track of side 1, Still They Ride. Can I just say that I love when a song decides to move into the next section, even if it hasn't been an even number of measures yet, for the sake of tightening up the composition? I think more songs need to do this. The need for the amount of measures in a section of music to be a multiple of 4 is an antiquated tradition that needs to be phased out. Now that I think about it, I suppose odd time signatures are the most extreme example of deconstructing this tradition on a microcosmic level, especially when you consider measures to be the expanded temporal analog of beat. Still They Ride is a great song. It's really good. The chord choices during the chorus are immaculate, and the song achieves a truly larger-than-life sound with the harmonic extensions being used. It's an emotional catharsis that's truly worthy of closing out the first side of what's shaping up to be one of the greatest rock albums of all time. Side 2 opens with the title track, Escape, which happens to be my personal favorite Journey song of all time. Is it the most melodically interesting song? No. Is it the most harmonically interesting? No. Is it the most rhythmically interesting? No. In fact, accentuating the second and third beats of the beginning measure in the chorus is something they've already done with Who's Crying Now, and something they'll do again with separate ways on the next album. With that being said, this song is exponentially more than the sum of its parts. The fantastical and benevolent sense of adventure that this song exudes is something that I struggle to sufficiently quantify or even articulate. It just has a certain energy to it that brings me such a pure, innocent glee, the likes of which could never be adequately described through words alone. But I'm going to go ahead and try to describe it through words alone. The song opens with an isolated guitar riff vaguely imitating a revving engine and preparing the listener for the voyage to come. The verse kicks in and sets the tone as a hopeful mid-tempo jam, but things take an unexpected turn with a series of rising chord stabs, modulating with each anticipated repetition. At this moment, the song launches into a new subdominant and never looks back. I don't just mean the key change, by the way. The verse at the beginning is never stated again. We have officially embarked on our adventure. At first, we stay on the subdominant, diligently building tension with some tasty Lydian motion, but then the true chorus of this song is revealed with one of the most satisfying drops in rock and roll. The melodic idea in the verse remains the same, but it's completely recontextualized by moving to the tonic for the first time in over a minute. The chorus of this song is so unbelievably exciting. It never fails to capture my attention in the most exhilarating way possible, and the way that the downbeat vocals dynamically interact with the upbeat instrumentals has one of the most primally activating effects of any rock song. After the second time of experiencing this wonderful chorus, the vocals are sustained in a dramatic fermata, and everything suddenly disappears in one sweeping moment. Enter guitar solo. I mentioned earlier that Who's Crying Now is one of the best guitar solos of all time, and it's probably the best of Journey, but this one is a close second. It's beautifully complemented by the piano stating the main theme underneath it, and it all culminates in an impossibly epic entrance into the final chorus. The backup vocals are added in to make this third chorus even more bombastically climactic, and the song ultimately ends with a single suspended chord, leaving a slight essence of wistful hope. The song Escape is irreplaceably special to me, and even though it probably doesn't achieve the same effect for other musicians, or even other Journey fans for that matter, I just wanted to put it out there in the hopes that even one or two more people could appreciate it more than they did before. If you take anything away from this video, I hope it is this song, because I consider it to be a masterpiece in its own right, and nothing would mean more to me than if I contributed to its recognition with the tiny platform that I have on this website. Anyway, on to the next song, shall we? Lay It Down is an excellent song, and even though it's commonly considered to be the worst track of this record, it speaks to the album's incredible quality that it's still far better than the average rock song, at least by my estimation. The Dorian guitar riff is super delicious, and the pre-chorus is fantastic. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say. It's just a great track all around. This song is absurd, and I wouldn't have it any other way. The furious licks that Neil Schon is stringing together here are insane, and the fast and loose nature of this song is so much fun. I also want to highlight Steve Perry's vocal performance on this track, which matches the guitar's level of insanity with some tastefully executed gravelly distortion. And again with the syncopated rhythmic anticipations, these guys are on fire. Yeah, Dead or Alive is definitely a highlight on this record for sure. Mother, father, sister, brother, come back. Look, do I need to explain how amazingly epic this song is? For the umpteenth time, Jonathan Cain clutches up and delivers yet another era-defining piano intro. The slightly cyclic nature of the chord progression perfectly exemplifies the melancholic profile of the song, and the steadily rising harmonic motion during the pre-chorus is an elegantly natural escalation of that idea, leading into the solemnly heroic chorus. It's another classic Journey power ballad that expertly builds up tension and intrigue throughout the entire track, to the point that by the time the guitar solo comes in, it's a dramatic catharsis so moving that it elevates the chorus to emotional heights that I never thought possible. I heard once that Steve Perry did this whole song in a single take, and I honestly wouldn't put it past him. He is quite clearly at the height of his power on this album, and the rest of the band is certainly in their prime as well. Either way, it's an incredibly powerful song of epic proportions, and it leads perfectly into the final song of this legendary record. At last, after the grand journey through 9 spectacular pieces of music, we are welcomed back home with open arms by the friends we made along the way. Dang it, I keep forgetting that some of you are lactose intolerant. In any case, I could not have asked for a better ending to this virtually flawless album than Open Arms. It's gorgeous, it's melodic, it's memorable, and it perfectly encapsulates that feeling at the end of the hero's journey when he returns home with the elixir after winning the fierce battle in Mother Father. This album tells a story, and depending on the listener, the specific events will obviously differ, and the mileage may vary as always, but the contour and the moral of the story is universal. The record chronicles the full range of human emotions that we as a species have the capacity to experience. And for the band themselves, it chronicles their fateful escape from what they once knew all the way to the top of the stars that sparkle like diamonds. After all, the spirit of Journey's music lives in heaven.